Okay, good morning, everyone, and welcome to our webinar this afternoon to discuss updates to SBA's disaster relief programs, including the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program and the Paycheck Protection Program. My name is Crystal Irons with the Missouri Small Business Development Center at Missouri State University, and really appreciate everyone taking the time to join us. And a huge thank you to the SBA Kansas City District Office and Springfield Branch Office for helping us put this program together so quickly and helping us to give all of this information out to our small business clients. So a few quick Zoom meeting tips before we get started. We have a lot of people joining, so please leave your mics muted so we don't get a lot of feedback. We will take questions throughout the program, and so if you'll use the chat feature, type in your questions and we will get to as many of those as possible in the 1 hour that we have. And if there are more questions than we're able to get to, I definitely will send out some additional information via email to everyone that was registered today. Mike has been kind enough to give us his PowerPoint presentation, so I will add that to the email, as well as any questions that we don't answer. I'll try to type some things into that. And also note that things are changing very rapidly. Mike and I talked early Monday morning, and what we weren't sure at that time exactly what information we were going to have, but wanted to get this up, and we do have some. But know that as we go through this, things will change, and so we'll continue to offer these types of programs. We'll also continue to push out via email and social media additional updates so that you have the best information as timely as possible. So kind of stay tuned for that and know that things will change. But we are recording this so that if you miss something, you want to go back and look at it, it'll be on our webinar library and accessible to everyone. So I quickly just want to remind everyone, we are here to help you. If we can visit with you one-on-one, we are more than happy to do that. My team is on today, also learning the new updates, but then we are knee deep and kind of analyzing that and working with you one-on-one to figure out what does that mean for your business. So you can quickly schedule a meeting with us by going to our website, sbdc@missouristate.edu. You can click on our book a meeting link under our COVID page. Really every page has a book a meeting link. But if you use that COVID page, there's a book a meeting link that goes to all of our calendars, and that'll get you the quickest meeting, and we're excited to visit with you. So with that, I would love to throw it over to Mike McWhorter with the Small Business Administration. And again, Ron Bassnett's with us from the Springfield Branch Office as well. So as both of you have information, please feel free to jump in, and I will stop sharing my screen. And Mike, you can share yours and throw it over to you.
Okay, thank you, Crystal. I'm in the process of doing that sharing the screen. Let's see. Is that, everybody see that?
That looks good.
Okay. I'm Mike McWhorter with the Kansas City Small Business District Office. I am the lead lending relations specialist. Some of you have seen me before and still look like I do, but anyway. I want to get y'all out the information as quickly as possible as we can. When Crystal and I talked, this is a moving airplane, and we're building it again as we go. I have a little bit of information that has actually come from SBA headquarters on the PPP program. And today I'm also going to speak a little more extensively about the EIDL program. The EIDL program was extended till December the 31st, 2021 now. And I spent many years down there working at disaster, so I want to go over a little bit of that with you. I know that we're all excited about the new program and everything like that, and stuff will be coming forward, as Crystal said, in the literally hours and days. We will get updates. I want to jump into the PowerPoint presentation at this time. I know your time's valuable, and I want us to get through this and go over some questions you might have. With that, we're going to start the PowerPoint. The CARES Act, as everybody remembers, back in March of 2019, when all this started, the president did a declaration, and he also called for a nationwide declaration of disaster, which has been done several times in our history at the SBA. Some of the most meaningful ones that probably everybody else here remembers is the 9/11 attacks. the nation was also offered disaster loans during that time. The economic injury disaster loan, or people call EIDL or EIDL loans, they're there as working capital to help you pay for your business obligations for a 6-month period. As we know, this thing has continued on, and that's why the extension out till December 31st, 2021 has been authorized and done. Now, these loans, and these are loans, and I want to reiterate that during this process as much as possible. The interest rates will be fixed rate. For small business, it'll be 3.75. For nonprofit, it's 2.75. Now, these loans are on 30-year terms. There's no prepayment penalty at any time, and there's no balloon payments allowed. So it's a straight loan like you get on your house is the best way to talk about it on this, but it's working capital. Now, the economic disasters loans, businesses had to be in operation prior to January 31st, 2020. Currently, I think this may change some for new business that start. That will be coming forth out of this new act bill that was passed. The reason for the new businesses being a little hard to do is we have no history of what your working capital needs are. Now, a lot of you applied for them. You got 150,000 was the max coming out the door. Some of you got 10, some of you got 50,000, 6,000, whatever you got. You're now into this pandemic, and your business may have been affected the whole 2019 from March to now. You can ask for reconsideration, and one thing we wanted to cover today, the EIDL loans go up to $2 million. And again, I want to, it's fixed rate. You don't have to worry about adjusting on you or anything at 3.75. It's a 30-year term. Now, the important thing is the collateral is required on loans over 25,000. Currently, we're taking no real estate. We're only taking a general UCC filing is all we're requiring on that. So you get the loan. If it's over 25,000, we're going to take a UCC filing on your business. Again, it's a loan. It's not forgivable. Any time is it not forgivable. Now, you can apply for these loans. If you've never applied for one, you can go online and apply for a loan at the covid19relief.sba.gov, and you'll be able to fill out the application online. Now, who should apply? If you haven't taken advantage of this at this time, this is for small businesses with less than 500 employees. It's for private, nonprofit organization. We got the 501Cs, Ds, and Es, faith-based organizations, agriculture enterprises. Yes, you're a farmer or cattle rancher, you can apply for it. Sole prop, independent contractors. These are all going to be available to apply for EIDL because your revenue stream has been disrupted. Ineligible business is some about illegal activities. Unfortunately, at this time, some of the hemp growers and stuff like that, it's sort of a iffy thing there. And if you're in that business, please reach out to Crystal for additional guidance. Gambling, stuff like that, we don't do the loans for those. And remember, when you see that word illegal activities, because I give these classes all over the United States, I understand that in Colorado it's legal, but it's not legal in the federal government. And the federal government's the one backing these programs. So it may be legal in your state or where you're located to do any of these deals, but we look at it from the federal level. All owners that own 20% or more of the business will be required to be on the application. So if you have 3 or 4 partners and all of you have over 20%, each one of you will have to be on the application, will be responsible for the loan. I put in the highlight down there, when in doubt, apply. We'll tell you if you're not eligible. We don't have no problem with that. So rather than sit around and wonder about it, go ahead and apply if you haven't applied yet. I applied for it already. Now what? All right. When you applied for the loan, and some of this information is my standard PowerPoint, you sat there and you applied for it and you got your disaster loan. You may already have received your funds in your checking account. But Mike, I didn't get enough money. The $62,000 they sent me wasn't enough. Okay. Today, we're going to go through what you can do to request additional funds. You don't have to fill out a new application. But if you haven't filled one out, this is the steps that you'll go through on that and get it. I did put down here the Kansas City SBA district office does not have the ability to check the status of your application. we don't have access to the disaster loan program. Although we're all SBA, they're an independent little group over there, and that's the reason you have to contact them about the status of your application. We can help assist you. Crystal team has been trained extensively on the disasters. As a lot of you know, down there in southern Missouri, I worked the Joplin disaster, the tornado. So the disaster program hadn't changed any just because of the pandemic. We're using it to help businesses, all we're doing. So they can help assist you with any questions and stuff like that too. And I know a lot of our team members have been well diversified in that. The EIDL portal, when you go in there, it's going to look similar to this right here. And when you slide the adjustment over, you can adjust your loan amount and all that. On the first loans sent out, because there was over 12 million applications that we approved. That's not what we took in. That's 12 million approvals. We went up and set up a loan to where we could get 150,000 out the door as quick as possible to people. I know some of you waited 6 weeks, maybe 8 weeks, but we was trying to get through them, and that's a lot of applications. Now that we're through them, you may need $500,000 for your loan. If you do, we're going to have to go back in and ask for reconsideration. In here, it goes through when you're filling this out, when you confirm your loan offer amount. So when they send this to you, and I know if they're going to send you, when you ask for reconsideration or you do the loan, I'm covering both parts here. It may get a little confusing. Please ask questions. But when you apply for a loan, you're going to get a notification you've been approved for a certain amount, and you can either accept it or decline it. Back when I told you, if you're in doubt, apply. One thing about disaster loans, you do not have to take them. You do not have to take the full loan approval amount. You can say, I appreciate that, but really all I need's, $60,000 to get me through what I think I need to get my business, keep it alive. There's no way that, we're not going to come in there and say, we'll approve you for 150. You got to take all of it or none of it. You can take any part of it you want. This is up to you. This is your federal government. This is your tax money that we're basically lending, and it's your program. You don't have to go to a bank to do this. It's straight from the SBA. And it's the only time in the SBA that we will lend directly to the consumer. So you have the option to even take it. So I strongly suggest, like I did back in March and April of last year, fill out an application if you haven't, because it's good to have it there as approval and then determine whether you want to do it than to get in a bind and then realize you need one. So you can do it and you can fill it out and you can either accept it or not. As you see here, they'll give you 60 days to review and sign the loan documents. So even if you accept it, they're going to send you the loan documents. You have to sign them. During that period, if you don't want to sign them, something came on, you won the lottery. I'd love to do that. You can still turn down the loan during that 60 days. So you have plenty of opportunities to either accept it or decline it. Now, using EIDL funds, we had a lot of questions about this, and I want to put this in here for today for y'all. The use of loan proceeds for the EIDL loan is to pay basically your monthly utilities, rents, payroll expenses. In this pandemic, if you have to buy and put up plastic sheet, screens between your employees and the customers coming in your door, that's going to be part of the disaster, which would be no different than putting in, a flood system to keep your place from flooding. You can use the funds to do that, but it's basically working capital. And for you that's not familiar or never had a working capital loan, the biggest thing you can't do is you cannot pay off debt. My business, I've got a Ford F-150 out there I bought 4 years ago. It's almost paid off. I get my EIDL funds. Well, that's going to save me money. If I pay that off, I won't have that $300 car payment every month. I'm going to pay it off. You can't use your funds like that. You can make monthly payments on your debt, but you can't use it to pay off long-term debt. You can't use it to expand your business, to buy equipment, something like that. So you can't update your equipment, become new equipment. So you're just stuck where you're at. There is no relocation funds. And contractor malfeasance, that's in there because like in a tornado, you might have repairs. Obviously, we don't have repairs in the pandemic. The EIDL decline and reconsideration. If you do get declined, we allow you opportunity to ask for reconsideration, and you're allowed to give the reasons why you feel that your loan should be approved. Now, SBA allows 6 months from the day of the decline letter to provide additional information. Guys, I put this in here for one reason. This is a nationwide pandemic, and we're having so many loans. That 6 months it's just a target date. If for some reason something happens and you get in there in 7 months, we're going to take a look at it. Now, 3 years later, not going to take a look at it, but we're going to be flexible on that date to a little bit. So don't panic about that. But 6 months is a long time to get your information together, and you should be able to accomplish that. So after submitting a reconsideration, if the loan is declined a second time, this one's getting a little more sticky. SBA allows 30 days to provide additional information. There again, we're going to be flexible, but we're not going to go there like out 6 months. But all you have to do is get it in the door. It may take us 90 days to look at it, but all you got to do is get it in the door, okay? Request reconsideration of your EIDL. Now, here's where we're getting into this. For you that have received an EIDL loan and wants an increase in your EIDL loan, this is where we're getting into this, all right? Even though this says decline here on this, what we've got to do is when you filled out your application online, you were asked information about your business. Nobody provided documents. Nobody provided tax returns, transcripts, or anything. Now, subsequently, you may have been asked for that information, but when you filled out the application, you wasn't. Most of you got your money, never had to do that. You're going to have to provide the financials on your business to get an increase, because now we're going to be looking at it and we're going to look a little harder than the 150. So if you're over 150, or you're even asking for an increase from 60 to 80,000, you still got to provide us the information, because now we're going to look at it as a loan. The Irs Form 4506T, that's a simple Irs form that you fill out, and there's instruction with it that shows that you fill out and send to the IRS to get your transcripts, which is proof you filed your taxes, and the federal tax returns you have included in your reconsideration match what the IRS received. If you have trouble with this form, again, I strongly suggest you can reach out to us and Ron, but also Crystal's staff will be able to sit there and work with you and go by it line by line if you need to. So you got to get that filled out and put together. So we're going to ask for reconsideration. We're going to need federal tax returns. We're going to need government ID, driver's license, whatever, and we're going to need complete signed Irs Form 4506. Now, if you have a Schedule C business, all that's saying is we need a copy of your Schedule C form. That's the tax return we're going to look at, because that's your business. Now, if you're filing on a 1065, 1120, you're going to need those tax returns, and it needs to be all pages. A lot of people just send in their first page of the 1120 or 1065. No, we need all pages of it. So keep that in mind. Also on there, you're going to need to include probably a little bit of a reasoning why you're needing the increase in the EIDL funds. So for that, you're going to need to fill out a little bit of information on your email you send in, and you're going to need to tell them why you need the additional funds. You may have to include, and this being January 2021, you may need to fill in and have ready also a P&L statement for the end of the year with a balance sheet. Also, we're going to request a debt schedule of debts on there. So that's what you're going to need. Requesting additional EIDL funds, as I've been talking about. The SBA EIDL program provides working capital to pay obligations under it. When I was down there working, we used to call that to make, and I think it's a simpler way, is you need funds for your needs. What is your needs to keep the business going, or keep the business afloat, or to keep the doors open? And that's the way you can start to think of it in your head, is what is my needs? Again, this is not to replace your net income off your business. This is only to provide your business with the funds to keep it operating, what it has to pay out, and what obligations you have based on operation costs. So sometimes that helps me to understand what they're talking about. It's what your needs are. Here again, it's suggestion documents include request your cover sheet, copy of most recent filed tax returns, copy of your driver's license, the 4506, and a complete Form 2002 schedule of liabilities. On my justification, the cover sheet, explanation for why you need more funds. That does not have to be a dissertation, a novel, or anything like that. But it also, and I received them when I worked there. I need $80,000. Thank you. You need a little meat and potatoes in that. So you need to tell a little bit what's going on, why you need the funds. You know, I'd even give a breakdown and look and go, you know, sales are off 48%. We're still having rent due. I'm paying people to, you know, work, and I'm keeping my staff. I'm rotating them because of social distance. Whatever you need, write a reason. Write a reason why you need the funds. Submit your request, of course, PDC recons at SBA, or you can mail them to the SBA Disaster Center down there in Fort Worth, and that's because that's why I'm from Texas. But you can mail them down there to them. You can overnight it to them. That address is good to receive UPS, FedEx, anybody else. That is a physical address, and they can receive that. Also, there's a fax number. Yes, we still have faxes. I wouldn't be as big on doing that, on faxing it, because your documents could get lost, fax machine, whatever. So if I can do it, I'm going to put it in email attached to my documents, or I'm going to mail the packet to them. So email works faster. It's the fastest way to go. So you got that. I also wanted to put in here, because I know Crystal and them, and I know that Rum and I have both been getting a lot of calls about the subordination of the idle liens and paying off information. I put this in here for you to take notes on, and like Crystal says, she's going to send you this PowerPoint, and this is some of the information you need. If you have a idle loan currently, you had to file your UCC. I've had a lot of lenders come in and go, Mike, we need to do you know, they need to buy a couple of vans to increase their staff because they're doing cleaning and disinfecting. But there's a UCC out there from SBA. It needs to be subordinated to our first lien. We're happy to do it. There's not going to be a big roadblock to get that. We do it all the time. When I left down there, we were still working on Katrina files and subordinating them. So we do it on a daily basis. We do it on regular. It's not just the pandemic. We do it for everybody. Even the loans down there in Joplin are still going. We subordinate and have to do stuff because people have to replace equipment. Maybe they move the business. It's just a normal process, and we do it. So you can go there and get it done. Again, I recommend highly that you use the email to do it, and then also would follow up with phone calls. Now, the end user, has to do these requests. Your lender can't send this off for you. They can be a part of it and be CC'd on the email or help you. But again, if you're just trying to get a payoff, or you're trying to sell your house and move, whatever the condition may be, also you can reach out if you're not dealing with a bank or something. Reach out to Crystal and her team. They can help you with this too. Again, they have a lot of experience in it. This isn't the first time we've had these idle programs. SBA and Treasury announced PPP reopenings, issued new guidance. Excuse me. I put this in the file today. This is the fresh off the press, this hot release, whatever you want to call it, that the administration has sent out the IFRs and has got us some guidelines to follow. We're still waiting on application, stuff like that. As I go through here, you'll see this. They will be reopening in the week January the 11th. Now, what that means is we're gonna hopefully have the portal open, and your lenders will be able to do this. Again, guys, I can't emphasize enough the help that the SBDCs provided small business owners on this PPP. Even if I'm filling out a small one for $10,000, $3,000, you'll feel better about having a second set of eyes look at your application maybe and talk to you a little bit. They want to help you get this money. The lenders want to help you get this money. Everybody wants to help you get this money. So don't feel like you're lost out there. Please reach out and get some assistance, because it makes it a lot easier. You sleep at night a little better too. But anyway, we're going to open that. And it even says in here that June 11th, they'll be open for the first draws. And the second draws, the PP, will be Wednesday. I want to give you a little inside baseball on this. The first draws are going to be done on the applications we used the first time around. So they're already out there. That's going to be no problem. The second draw PPP loans will have to be done on a different application, and we're hoping that comes out today. That being said, unlike April of last year, the 3rd, when we opened this program, this is not going to be a shark frenzy going everywhere. This is going to be a little more controlled and less chaos. So you're going to want to work with your lenders, and again, reach out to the SBDC. Crystal and her staff will be more than happy to help you with this. So it is out there. Yes, it did get signed into law. Yes, we're trying to get it rolled out for everybody to take advantage of it. So with that said, the first round, this round, excuse me, of the PP continues. Priority 284 billion is what they set aside in this bill. If you notice, it expires, I'm sorry, let me go back. 244 billion. Certain other expenses have been allowed through March 31st, 2021. That March 31st, 2021, the reason I got thrown there a little bit, that's going to be the deadline for this program this time, is March 31st, 2021. So that's when we're going to stop funding and process. So here we are, January 11th, it's going to start. So we got February and we got all of March. So there's plenty of time. There's going to be plenty of money available. We had, last time we shut the program down, we had $132 billion left over. So don't feel like you can't get your money, or, oh, it's February, it's no use to go try. Guys, this program is going to end March 31st. We have plenty of money. That's the one thing I want y'all to take away from this. Now, the key PP updates include PP borrowers can set their PP loan cover period to be any length between 8 and 24 weeks to the best meets their business needs. Last time we had to either do 8 weeks or 24 weeks, and that got a little confusing. And we kept telling everybody, if it takes you 12 weeks to spend the money, so be it. But on the application, you had to list 24 because our program wouldn't take anything but 8 weeks and 24 weeks. They finally did a software right, corrected. Now you can actually fill out your application needing, now we're still going to pay you the 8 week period on the loan approval. It doesn't mean that currently. Now that could change. And like Crystal said at the start of this is all very fluid at this time, liquid. So we're again building the airplane. At least we're flying this time. We know what we're doing. We've been through this once, so we're putting a couple more engines on. But that's a problem that we had last time. We're trying to correct it. The PP loans will cover additional expenses, including operating procedures, expenditures, property damage costs, all that. So what we're doing there in this workman protection expenditures, there again, if you have to buy masks, if you have to buy shields, if you have to buy hand sanitizers, all that will be covered this time in the expenses. Now, that being said, people were still requiring you to spend 60% of the funds on wages, because the whole intent of this thing was to pay your employees, not pay all your expenses. The EIDL is out there to pay your expenses, but they have expanded, so you got a little bit of additional coverage you can allocate some funds to. If you spend 100% for wages, you don't have to worry about these expenses, and that's perfectly acceptable. That's what we want you to do. So that's what the program's intent was. We've also exciting news is the fact that their eligibility is expanded to include 501c6 businesses, housing cooperatives, direct marketing organization. Now, direct marketing organization is not a pyramid scheme. So that's not what we're saying there. That will not be allowed. So we're gonna look at those types of organization, and we're going to expand to them. So those will be brand new PPP loan businesses applying. So they'll be applying under the original guidelines. Now, the PPP provides greater flexibility for seasonal employees this time. We're looking at that. We're going to try to correct some of that, because last time it was you hired between January and February? What was your employee count? Blah, blah. And some businesses, like down there in southern Missouri, you've got a lot of lakes, a lot of rivers, you got a lot of rafting. Seasonal employees are down there. So we're getting a little more flexibility for that. So that'll help out. certain existing PP borrowers can request to modify their first draw. This is going to be a very limited select group of PPP first-time businesses. This is not everybody, and I want to make that clear. Most of you who are listening to this will be considered getting a second round PPP. So we want to be careful that most of that's going to be some of your nonprofits and stuff like that we didn't have it quite adjusted the way to calculate the amount of money you received, and we're going to allow it to be corrected. Certain existing PP borrowers will now be eligible to apply for a second round. True. And the reason that's in there is I go to the next slide. There it is right there. Some of the businesses got PPP loans the first time. Some of the even small colleges and stuff was able to get it because they has under 500 employees. This time you have to be under 300. The 300 employees are going to cut some people out that won't be eligible to get the funds. Also can demonstrate at least 25% reduction in gross receipts, gross revenues between comparable quarters from 2019 to 2020. So March 2019 and March 2020, I had sales of 800,000 in 2019. Now, I've got sales of 700,000, be 20, maybe 25, say 500,000. I'm sorry, calculator in my head didn't work right. So for every 100,000, I had 25,000, so 75. So if I had 100,000, and that's the easy way to do it, 100,000 in 2019, my sales for the second quarter in 2020 were 74,000. I've got at least a 25% reduction. Does that make sense? I'm sorry to confuse y'all. If I had sales of 100,000 in any quarter of 2019 and compared to my quarter 2020, I was below 75, I meet the requirement. So that's all, that's what we're looking for. Obviously, there's some businesses got PPP the first time that their sales have increased. Their sales have increased from 2020 over 2019. They will not be eligible. I wanted to put this in here too. Guys, I can't say it enough, is the fact that the rulings, you can look online, the SBA.gov and the Treasury website are the best place to go to. But the new guidance releases included also, we got the administrator doing access for minorities and underserved markets, which I know Crystal and them have been really proactive on. And I believe we had a new women's business council open up down there in Springfield now. So you've got many resources for that. And that's going to be your regular SBA loans. That's to help out in that process. The interim financial ruling. Now, a lot of people, oh, by the way, you'll hear a lot of people say IFR. That's interim final ruling. That's what was released Wednesday and what everybody's been reading through, 82 pages for one, 80 something for another. That's the final ruling of the law. Then we have to come out with guidelines. So based off of those. So, we're looking at it. They call it the Economic Aid Act, easy for you to say. And the interim final rulings on the second draw. So those are places you can go look at it. And now we'll take some questions, and I'm going to quit sharing my screen. Stop sharing, hopefully. Did that do it?
I think so.
I know it was fast and furious, but got us through it.
Okay, great. So I do have several questions here. So will any portion of the EIDL loan be forgiven?
No. The people that receive the advance/grant on the first applying in the first part of 2019, the March, April, May, June, July, those people got up to $10,000 advance, which was considered a grant, and it was $1,000 per person. We're not doing that this time so far. Again, anything can change, but right now, as I said here at 11:36, no, there is no part.
Okay. Can I apply for PPP with no income to report in 2019?
It's going to be hard to get the criteria, and that's going to be one of those things that we're going to have to wait for additional guidelines, because I've had many new businesses, Crystal, as you're aware of, that started in 2020. So they don't really have anything to compare with 2019. So that's one of those that right now is sitting in a box that we're still working on. So if you didn't have income in 19, the biggest thing, Crystal, I took away from all the meetings is you had to be eligible the first time to get the loan. And whether you got it or not, that's going to determine whether you're eligible to apply the first time around. So you had to be eligible under the CARES Act, the first act that came out. You had to be eligible under that program.
Okay. Same one. You covered this just a little, so if you just want to add anything, what documents or information do we need to provide for the new PPP?
Okay, the documents are going to be we're still working that. It's still in motion, but I can take away from what they've released so far is you're going to need financials to show your 2019 quarter that you're comparing 2022 to show your 25% reduction or more. So you're going to need those financials. So that'd be probably a quarterly filing, filing on your sales tax or your 941 wouldn't do it, but your quarterly sales tax. It could be a P&L statement. You could use your tax returns from 2019. So we're going to be a little bit. Now, some of the independent sole prop people may file a Schedule C and they're going, I don't file quarterly return, I file, every year. That's fine. We'll take a look at your yearly statement off your Schedule C from 19 to what you anticipate your 2020 to be, which would be a year-end profit and loss statement. I said P&L during my presentation, but that's a profit and loss statement. Crystal's team really knows how to put those together too. Again, if you need help with that. One thing I want to tell a lot of people is you don't have to go out and hire an accountant to do these PPP loans. They're not required. Now, if you're a bigger company and you got 300 employees, you've probably got an accounting firm, you got an HR department, good. I'm talking to the small independent business owners. Guys, we have help at the district level. Ron down there in Springfield, we got Crystal and her group down there to help you. It's free. It doesn't cost anything. You don't need to pay somebody $400 or $500 to fill out the application. Reach out to Crystal and her group, guys. Reach out to them. The banker will even help you. And, they don't have they want you to get the loan right for the right amount of money so you can get forgiven. At the end of the day, they're still, again, going to be lending their money until you get forgiven, and we'll pay them back. So maybe went a little further, but I think that's critical.
Okay. Now, if someone has applied for EIDL, let's say back in the summer, late summer, or even a reconsideration, and they still haven't heard anything, what is our message to them?
I would call the 800 number. I would also resend an email just asking for a status update. Again, and I know, ladies and gentlemen, this is tough, but 12 million people, we were, and Crystal can attest to this, we were a very small government entity. We only had about 2,800 people, which is the size of maybe a regional bank's employees. I know some of the banks down there in Springfield have more employees than we had at the SBA. We're now growing. We got all these people we've hired. A lot of 12 million apps, a lot to go through, and a lot of those people had to ask for reconsideration. I would just say, be persistent with the emails and the phone calls, not daily, not every other day, but if it's been a couple of weeks, send one out. Send another out, ask for a status update.
We did have a question, and I think it was before you really jumped in, about how people can increase their loan amount. So I want to know everyone to know we had the question, and make sure you look at Mike's presentation. It goes through that step-by-step, phone number, fax number, mailing address, email address, and we are happy to help you through that process as well. If we are requesting additional funds for the EIDL, does that get added to our loan, or does it become an additional loan?
Added to the loan. We want to keep it as one loan, and so it'll be on the same 30 years as your first EIDL. It would just increase your loan.
Okay. Let's see. This is separately from the EIDL, but for a period of time, SBA provided grace periods on existing SBA loans, making those payments for businesses from May through October. Is there any discussion of continuing that program in 2021?
Yes, I don't have any of the guidance on that. Yes, it's been out there in the media and a lot of associations, they're talking about 3 to 5 month period. As soon as we get that available, we'll send it out to you, Crystal, and your team, and we'll be able to get that out to the public.
Okay. Can we apply for PPP if we are filing Missouri Shared Work Unemployment for a portion of our staff?
I'm going to say that's going to be one of those financial packages you just got to look at. I can't make a determination at this point without that contact Crystal and whoever your lender was originally too, and see what's going on. But yes, I think they will be able to, just generally speaking.
Sure. Yeah. The shared work program doesn't automatically count you ineligible. We would just want to make sure that you could be eligible for forgiveness. And so that would be the key. We can walk through those numbers with you for sure. Mm-hmm. Draws on the new PPP funding. Will they use the same application for the second round? So we won't have to complete new paperwork if we want additional loan information for the same business.
Short answer is no. It's going to be a new application for the second round if you receive the first round. They will not be, these loans will not be tied together. The EIDL, we will increase the EIDL and stay one loan. The PPP is going to be 2 different loans.
Okay. Do borrowers need to apply for forgiveness prior to receiving the second round of funding?
I hate to sound like a recording, we're waiting still. We've got it's out there and it's been talked about that there'll have to be some mechanism where they've either started the process or maybe completed the process. I'm still waiting for guidance from DC on that. That is a very good question, and it's going to be a very important question. But we just don't have anything to really give you concrete to stand on that.
Okay. Can we use a different bank for the second round of PPP than we did for the first round of PPP?
Yeah, theoretically. Again, I feel that's going to be a yes. This is Mike McWhorter talking, not SBA. I feel that's going to be a yes. I don't see a reason why they would force you to go back to the same lending institution. Your lending institution may not be offering the program. The lenders did this out of their own deal. We're not forcing anybody to have to do it. Not all lenders participate the first time. There may be a few lenders that won't participate this time. So I just have to say, in just my common sense, yes, you can. SBA guidelines and rules, not yet been established.
Okay. On the second PPP loan, what are the options if the business did not open until September of 2019?
Well, if they open in September, you would have the October, November, December. You'd have the fourth quarter of 2019 to compare with the fourth quarter of 2020. Again, that is in the IFR. That if you operated, an example in the IFR was if you operated 6 months in 19, which would be from June or July through, that you would then have to look at the thing. Now, it's not clear in the IFR. That's the reason I'm not going to go down the rabbit hole with that. But we're looking to clarify that and get guidance on it. But to answer the question, yes, you will be. If you remember, Crystal, in the first one, you had to be in operation by February 15th in order to be eligible for the PPP program the first time around. So that's going to have something to come into that on the second or additional thing too. But I know that's in the IFR and I read it and I looked at it, but I can't give you the interpretation. I get additional guidelines from SBA.
Okay. So I have a lot of questions about how long of a period the second PPP loan will be. 8 weeks, 12-week period, 24-week period. Any guidance on that?
Yes, and that was in that PowerPoint presentation that has been officially put out there. Is we're going to allow them to pick between 8 and 24. Minimum 8, max 24, but anything in between that will be their covered period.
Okay.
And I will interject this right here too, Crystal, this time. For any business who doesn't have a National Association Small Business Code, the NASCA code, if they have a code 72, those are going to be allowed a little more money but everybody else is going to be at the 2.5 like we did last time. It's going to be 2.5 times their monthly wages will be determined the maximum loan amount.
Okay. Do my 2020 taxes need to be complete to apply for the second round of PPP?
No, because we can't force you to do your taxes. You have until April 15th and you can file extension past that. We will need end of the year financials. And again, that's the reason I was saying, Crystal, some of your small businesses will want to reach out to you and some of your other partners down there in Springfield, because they may never have done a financial statement. They just do their taxes each year. You know, when I was in business, I always waited till like February or March because I didn't want to send that money in. You know, I felt like I had to pay it. So they may not even be in the process of doing their taxes yet, but they will need some kind of financial document to show the 25% decrease, because that's going to be the key to get your second loan. So there will be some financial information provided whether you filed your taxes or not.
Okay. Yes, and Mike is correct. If you need help developing a financial statement, my team or any of us across the state can absolutely help you with that. Is any of the second round of PPP going to be forgiven? And if so, will it be through that same process?
Same process, hopefully 100%. They did stop the deduction of the EIDL advance that a lot of people had received. Yesterday's phone call, which wasn't on the PowerPoint, they looked at it and they said that the portal that the lender uses now no longer requires the EIDL advance. Now, the EIDL advance was at 1,000 to 10,000 that people received in the very beginning of 19, back here when we opened the program for the EIDL. Those fees will not, that money will not be deducted from the forgiveness amount. Anybody who's listened to this and had that deducted from their PPP because they already applied for forgiveness and got that deducted, SBA will be going back through. There is no time frame yet, but they're going to be going back through and recrediting that money to you. So even if you made a payment or you paid it off, like I've had several people call and say, you know, I had $1,000 advance. I just went down and paid it off. What about me? The bank will get the money and forward it to you or put it in your account or notify you, because we will credit all of that back. It's not, I don't have a time frame because right now we're trying to get people the money for the PPP loans, and then that's going to be sort of coming in there secondary. But we will get all the money refunded that we deducted from any loan that's been forgiven up to this point. Going forward, it won't be a matter because it's not even in the system anymore.
Okay. Just to clarify, if this is the first PPP for a business, do they need to demonstrate a 25% reduction in 2020 sales?
Good question. I don't have any guidance yet on that. I don't want to go out there on a presumption or try to extend. I don't have the guidance on that yet. We may receive that as quickly more. We may receive that today. No, just to say we may receive that in the next hour or two, but yeah.
Sure, okay. Is any information available on the shuttered venue operator grants? And is that going through SBA, do you know?
I think I heard, and this I just heard, guys, I don't put this down on, in blood and on granite. I believe it's going to go through a lot of the CFIs and stuff, Crystal, I think. I don't know. I think that's where it's going to be headed to. You may have better inside information on that than I do. So I don't know where
we just had a lot of questions so far, so we're not sure either.
Yeah, that's still up.
Okay. Does the 25% apply to PPP and EIDL? A reduction in sales, I'm guessing there.
Oh, no, EIDL is a totally different program. You have to demonstrate a need, but it's not tied to revenue. Again, it's not tied to profitability or revenues. It's tied to needs. We got to see that you make money in order to get a loan, obviously, but you're not under the same guidelines. These are two separate programs. EIDL and PPP are two independently programs. Real quick, the EIDL is being administered by SBA directly to the small business owner. PPP or triple P is being administered through lenders to the small business owner. They're just totally separate, and they're kept that way.
Okay. Is the EIDL a grant or a loan? Does it need to be paid back? So there's some that may or may not be as familiar with the EIDL program.
Yeah, the EIDL program that we're talking about today and what we're referring to is when that's a loan. It will have to be paid back over 30 years. We set them up on 30-year notes so it'd be easier with dealing with the mass volume. It's a fixed interest rate. It is a loan. There's no anything on the horizon says, oh, we're going to forgive them, we're going to go on down the road. That's not it. It's a loan. And the grant you hear us talking about right now, that we've been talking about, the advance in the grant, that is done and finished. That was done in 19 for people who originally applied. That is not a program open now. That's no longer there. That came as a separate funds anyway. So EIDLs are loans. PPPs are loans until forgiven.
Okay. Let's see, how much money can I apply for each employee under PPP?
We're still going to be that max. You remember, Crystal, that max of 100,000 wage earners? We're still going to have those in place. And I think that was, like 15,385 was the max on that. Don't quote the dollars exactly. I know it's in the 15,300 range.
Yeah, and then there is a calculation based on the amount of payroll that you had.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not per individual employee. It's an actual calculation.
Right. We're not going to give you like $10,000 for each employee you have. Correct. It's what you pay them.
Okay. I think we've hit most everything. Is the $100,000 cap, does that apply to just owners of the business or all employees based on that 24-week period?
Again, that's going to be based on the 8-week is what we're looking at, because remember, we're doing 2 months at 2.5%. Whether you take 8 weeks or 24 weeks or 12 weeks or 14 weeks to do it, that's expenditure of it. So that's going to be the employees based. They're capped on their annual, that 100,000 that people are asking about. Is we capped that the first time. We said any employee makes over 100,000, that's max, done, whether they're owner or employee. So that is based off of that. And that's, so when you take that number, it's a simple calculation. You take 100,000, you divide it by the 12 months, and you times it times 2.5, I think it was 2, something like that. Let's see. Anyway, it's 15,000 something is max on that when you do that. Again, that calculation number, that's what Kristen will be able to set and help you with. It has a lot of factors in there. We had people that had they got bonuses and stuff like that. We had to calculate in all that. If you had the program the first time, the same information is going to be based on it the second time. If you've never done it, it's a very simple. They take your wages for 2019. We divide it by 12, multiply times 2.5, and that's your max loan amount. Well, as long as those caps are in place. So if I have 5 doctors working for me and we all make $250,000 each, we can only apply for 6 people at $100,000 backs. So that's what that's for. That's an example.
Okay. And so I did have a question about what numbers were used to determine the total loan amount, but they did not specify PPP or EIDL. So you just answered the PPP. And so what would you say on EIDL?
EIDL, again, it's going to be your needs. Crystal, how much money do I got to spend for the next 6 months to keep my business open? That's rent, utilities, fixed debt payments, payroll, and all that. So you figure all that in there, that's needs. Again, you can't pay off any debt, and that's what working capital's for. That's going to be, Crystal, I come to you and I got a small business. I go, right now I'm running roughly about $12,600 a month just to keep my business open. That's just my fixed debt. That's just so the employees can show up and have lights on. Okay, then that's their needs. Now, Crystal, I used to have $100,000 sales each month, but I've only got 20,000. So I need $80,000 to make it. No, we're not making up sales. We're only making up needs. Is what we're looking at. That's where they get the numbers, and that's why they need your tax returns to see what your costs are. That would be based in there on the tax returns, which we can do a tax thing later, not right now. But you got your cost all listed on your tax return. And that's what we based off of.
So there's a few questions that are coming in about when you're looking at calculation for PPP. I know originally we did look at 19. Now on the second round, a lot of people do still have a little bit of a lower head count. Are they going to be able to utilize their 2020 payroll in order to calculate the PPP?
The way I understand it is the first time around you based everything on 2019. For a second PPP loan, because we put that stipulation of a quarter reduction, we're probably going to go off the 2020 numbers. It's not going to matter what you did in 2019, only to do a comparison between that and 2020. So therefore, 2020 numbers are now going to be in play for people on the second loan. Now, the first loan, that's still a little bit, they're massaging that, but I think that's going to be based off of your 19 coming in just like everybody else was. So that's what they're going to base that. And I know going through that forgiveness, I know y'all had a lot of them down there, people, they had 4 employees and then, they end up with 3 and because one decided to move off to California. Remember, we're very flexible when we get to the forgiveness side. We'll try to work with you to get everything forgiven because at the end of the day, that's what we want to do at the SBA. I know it sounds, oh yeah, the government, but truly, we want to get you forgiven 100% because we don't, and that's the reason we changed the EIDL advance. We don't want anybody to have to make payments on this money. We want you to get the money, help your business, and move on down the road. So that's the whole intent of Congress when they did this back in March, and it just takes time to get everything, all the bugs dug out. We put which ended up going to be close to $750 billion loan program together. We put together basically in 6 days. It started the program in April. Here it is, January, and we're still funneling money. So, it takes a little time to get some of the stuff done. But that's the whole intent of the program is to get you the money and not have to have payments.
And then last question, and we'll kind of wrap up. How long have you seen forgiveness take to come through, and any kind of update on that process?
If you got my luck, it's taken quite a while, but no, I'm just kidding. Guys, we had a hiccup in our system. That's what I'm gonna call it. Is people who applied for forgiveness back in September, October, talking with my lenders, they're still waiting for an answer on their approval. People who turned one in 3 weeks ago have already got their money back and they're done down the road. Why is there so much of a discretion to just, sorry, can't talk today. What is the difference between the two? So the loans that were in there in September and October, we had a hiccup. That's all it's going to be said. They're working through those. That's a backlog. So if you've turned in an application, it's been over 90 days that the SBA has had it. Remember, that was a target date we had. Again, guys, we're dealing with what, 6.5 million loans. It takes a little time. We don't have 200,000 people standing by waiting to address them. So it takes a little time. If you're still waiting, the good news is you don't have to make any payments. You're not responsible for any payments until we make our determination. But we're getting around to them. We're starting to roll them through. So if you had one in September, October, yes, you're still waiting. If you turned in one 3 weeks ago, you may have already got your money back.
Okay. All right. I know that was a lot of information in 60 minutes. So yes, Mike, thank you so much. You talked really, really fast, but did an amazing job. Ron, thanks for helping me field a few questions in the chat. Appreciate you guys joining us. So for those of you who are small business owners and maybe some lenders on the call, if there's anything that my team or any of us across the state on the Missouri Small Business Development Center team can do to help you, please don't hesitate to reach out. Our statewide website has links to schedule a meeting. Our direct center at SBDC at missouristate.edu also has links to schedule a meeting with anybody on our team directly. So please reach out. Our phone number's there. Please know that we are not specifically in the office. My team is working remotely, and so setting up that appointment is the fastest way to visit with us one-on-one. But we make it very easy to do. So reach if you have questions. We're available via email. We are recording this. We'll have it up on our webinar library, and hopefully we'll do that by Monday. We will email out the presentation to everybody who is registered. And so I will try to do that by the end of the day today. You should have an email from us with the PowerPoint presentation. So with that, thank you all so much. Mike, Rom, we really appreciate you. And everybody stay safe.
All right. Thank y'all. Bye-bye.